Hello class 8. Last class we dealt with the properties of solid, liquids and gases according to its molecular nature. Today we will discuss about the changes of state of matter. Why or how does a change of state of matter occur? So let us revise whatever we have done. So before that, I just want to tell you the change of state. What do you mean by change of state? Change of state over here means there are three states of matter: solid, liquid and gas, isn't it? Now when you heat a solid, like for example ice, it melts, it changes its state from solid to liquid, right? Now when you heat this liquid, like ice changes into water, and now the liquid or the water, heat it some more, it slowly changes into vapor, means gaseous, in its gaseous state, in its vapor, water vapor. So it changes, there is a change of state from solid to liquid, liquid to gas. Similarly, if you cool the liquid, if you cool the, let's say, the gas, the water vapor, it condenses back into liquid. Now cool that liquid again further, below its to its freezing point, it will turn back into solid. It will freeze again. It will go back to solid state. So solid can change into liquid, and liquid can change into gas. Gas can change into, condense back into liquid, and liquid will solidify into a solid. So there is a change of state. Now change of state from solid to liquid is known as melting. The change of state from liquid to gas is known as evaporation. If you change the liquid back to solid, it is known as freezing. If you change the gas into liquid, it is known as condensation. Yes? So it's so, and sometimes some of the solids will directly change its state into gaseous form, and that is known as a condensation, vaporization. Yeah? So, sublimation, change of state from solid directly into gas or the gaseous form or the vapor is known as sublimation. So, some of the substances that sublime on heating are iodine, camphor, naphthalene, ammonium chloride. When you heat this solid, it will not melt, it will directly change into its vapor form. So that is known as sublimation. So there are different types of state, changes of state of matter. So changes of state of matter actually happens due to the energy that is given to the substance or taken away from the substance in the form of heat. Okay, if you heat a substance, it will melt. If you cool liquid, it will to solidify, it will change into a solid state. So it is actually the heat energy that is given or taken away from the substance that makes the change of state of matter. That is external. So when we talk about it in the molecular form, the change of state of matter depends on, number one, the intermolecular space. It depends on the intermolecular force of attraction, and lastly it depends upon the collisions between the molecules. Collisions between the molecules means molecules collide to each other, right? So before we start the change of state of matter, how it occurs according to its molecular nature, we will discuss briefly we will discuss the molecular nature of matter in the solid, liquid and gas. I'll just repeat it once more. In solids, the molecules are very close to each other and the force of attraction is very, very strong. Alright? Intermolecular space is minimum, and because the force of attraction between the molecules is very, very strong. Now what happens over here in the liquids? The force of attraction between the molecules of the liquid is weak. Therefore, we have a intermolecular space, the space between the molecules. The intermolecular space is a little bit larger. In the case of gases, the force of attraction between the molecules is very, very weak, extremely weak, and they have large intermolecular space. They have very large intermolecular space. Now the fun is, why does a change of state occur? What happens when if you heat a solid, why does it change into a liquid? How does it change into a liquid? Let us discuss according to the molecular nature of matter. So I'll just read it from the book for your convenience. So when a solid is heated, its molecules gain kinetic energy and becomes very active. The molecules try to overcome the intermolecular force of attraction. So they vibrate faster and start to move, and the intermolecular space between them increases. Now, I will explain what happens when you heat a solid. How or why does it change into a liquid state? Solid to liquid. How does it and why does it happen? Now, what happens is, when you heat a solid, what happens is, the molecules, the atoms of the solid or the molecules of the solid will absorb heat energy. They absorb a lot of heat energy. Since they absorb the heat energy, what happens is, the kinetic energy of the molecule. So let me tell you what kinetic energy is. I told you last time also, kinetic energy is energy due to its motion. So since they have very less intermolecular space, the atoms or the molecules of the solid, they start vibrating in the mean position. They get so much, the kinetic energy increases so much so that it becomes more than the intermolecular force of attraction between them. There is the intermolecular force of attraction between them. All right? Very strong. Now what happens is, they vibrate in the mean position, the kinetic energy increases, they vibrate faster and faster and faster, and the kinetic energy possessed by the molecules now becomes more than the intermolecular force of attraction. So they start separating, going away from each other. They come to a point, they go separate so much so that it changes into a liquid state. So we have the intermolecular space here. So a solid, when you heat it, what happens is, the molecules or the atoms absorb a lot of heat energy, and then they vibrate. The kinetic energy increases, they vibrate in the mean position, so much so that the kinetic energy becomes more than the intermolecular force of attraction. So they start separating from each other, and they have the position of the liquid. So they have the arrangement of now the liquid. So therefore, the solid will change into the liquid form. Now, if the temperature continues to increase at a certain point, and the intermolecular space between the molecules of the solid increases, and the intermolecular force of attraction decreases, eventually a solid changes into a liquid, as I already told you. Then, on further heating of the molecule changes into, gain more kinetic energy, and the molecular space between them increases even more. So the molecules move randomly, and the intermolecular force of attraction decreases gradually. At that certain point, the intermolecular force becomes so weak that it cannot be held by the molecules together, and the liquid changes into a gaseous state. Now, how does a liquid change into gas? Now, further you heat the liquid, we have a liquid here, you heat it, it vaporizes, it will change in, evaporation takes, it changes into a gaseous state. How does that happen now? The theory is the same. You are heating the liquid now, what happens is, the kinetic energy of the molecules or of the liquid will increase, and it becomes more than the intermolecular force of attraction between them, and then they start separating further, and they arrange themselves in the form of the gaseous state. They have a large intermolecular space. That means the kinetic energy becomes more than the intermolecular force of attraction, so they separate further away till they come to the arrangement of the gas. So that's how the liquid changes into gaseous state. So water, you must have seen water evaporating, isn't it? That is what it's happening. All right. Now, when the liquid solidifies or freezes, the liquid changes back into a solid state. What happens now? When you cool the liquid, just the opposite thing happens now. When you cool the liquid, the intermolecular or the kinetic energy of the molecules decreases. When you heat, the kinetic energy of the molecules increases. When you cool it, you are taking away energy from the molecules. So that means the kinetic energy of the molecules becomes lesser. So much so that the intermolecular force between the molecules increases, and then they start coming closer to each other till they come to the arrangement of the solid, and that's how they solidify. The reverse thing happens again same thing happens when the liquid changes into, the gases change it into a liquid state. So when you cool the water vapor, it changes back into water, the gas changing into liquid. What happens is, gas has enough kinetic energy, isn't it? When they are in a gaseous form, they have enough kinetic energy. So therefore, when you cool the gas, or when water vapor comes into contact with the steel plate, cold steel plate, what happens is the molecules of the gases, they lose energy. They lose energy means the kinetic energy becomes lesser. So much so that the force of attraction between the molecules becomes more than the kinetic energy of the gaseous state, till that means the molecules will come closer to each other till they attain the arrangement of the molecules in a liquid state. So that's how the gases changes into liquid state. So with this, we come to the end of the class today, and I hope you've understood why there is a change of state or in a molecular nature of matter. So if you have any questions on it, you can always contact me privately. Thank you so much. Have a good day.